great week so far. I got to do what I wanted to do finally after talking to, I'll do, talks in front of 30 people at like the Small Business Administration in San Antonio. We'll put on meetups and talk like that, but conference, that's a whole nother beast. Something scary about that, where you're around all these people that you really need to make sure get the right information. So just to preface you, I built this presentation as a primer for beginners. So if you know nothing about Bitcoin, this is going to be really good for you. I'm not going to invent the wheel. I'm not going to teach you how blockchain works. I'm not going to go into any of the advanced stuff. So if you're looking for that, come see me afterwards because I can teach you that too. But this is what I consider the most important parts of Bitcoin because you can make a lot of money, but if you don't store it right, you're fucked. Sorry. Yeah, except I work for bread, so I'm definitely going to push that a little bit harder than Coinbase. But I do have Coinbase up there because I respect them. They've made some bad decisions lately, right? They have some guff, but I fully respect Coinbase. We would not, any of us would not be in this position that we are if we didn't have Coinbase for the last couple of years. They were a huge institution, still are. I really hope they get their shit together because it's competition. It's good. And yeah, no, if Coinbase didn't exist, I don't think a lot of us would have what we have right now, right? So, no. Everybody has troubles. Every business has troubles, but no. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that. My whole thing is I want to go over simple stuff. How to store, how to download a wallet. Why would you want a hot wallet versus a cold wallet versus a hardware wallet? What are the differences? What's a public key? What's a private key? How important is your private key? I'm going to say that so many times. Backing up your wallet is the most important thing. So even though this is a 30-minute talk, you're probably going to hear me talk about backing up wallets for about 10 minutes. Because that's how important it is. Like I was saying earlier, you can make $1 million in a day in this place, but if you don't store it correctly, or not even that, do something that you didn't even know you weren't supposed to do, it's all gone in an instant, and then you lose it all. So hopefully this will teach you some tactics and just common knowledge that will protect you. Simple stuff like, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, hey Alex, I sent some Bitcoin to my Bitcoin Cash wallet, and I can't find it. If you know, you know that they're doomed. Hey, I just sent some Ethereum to my Bitcoin wallet. Well, first off, that wallet that you're using should have been already having that stop loss in place where it's like, this is not a Bitcoin wallet. You cannot send this. But sadly, some wallets don't do that, and then it's lost, right? So that's the kind of stuff I want to teach you guys. But we'll give it a little bit more time. We got 10 minutes? Something like that? 14? Damn. So that's a good question, and I'm going to plug the hell out of my own thing. No, so that was my question to myself for years. I was doing one-on-ones, I was having meetups, I was teaching probably 3 to 5 people a day, doing appointments. I live in San Antonio, started a Facebook page called the San Antonio Crypto Network. Then we actually got a brick and mortar place where we would say, hey, come here, we're open 8 hours a day, you can come here, we have a Bitcoin ATM. This was back in 2014. Just come learn. And we would have meetups almost every single day. And you know how many people came back then? 1 or 2 a week. It was nuts. So we closed up the shop pretty quick and realized that it works a lot better if you just promote yourself and have people come to you or meet them individually. So we stopped doing those kind of large groups and we started doing one-on-ones because at the end of the day, each one of you has very specific questions and very specific needs and very specific problems, and you're all different, believe it or not. Maybe you like Ripple. Sorry. I love your face. Maybe he likes Darkcoin. Maybe he likes masternodes. Maybe he needs to know a little bit more about masternodes. Maybe he wants to make his own masternode. What's a masternode, right? Learning all about the different cryptocurrencies. Some people will hear about, EOS randomly, and then they're like, I want to buy EOS, but I don't see it on Bittrex. And I'm like, oh, well, that's because it's only on, so go to Binance. So no, doing all that, teaching really started me to partner with a lot of cryptocurrency companies and build what I call the Bitcoin Beginner Box. Here's my harmless plug. So to answer your question, what I did was I spent about 6 months straight, a disabled veteran, so I had a little bit of extra time on my hands. And I basically just built a box that I felt did the exact same thing that I was doing for each individual on that one-on-one basis. So here, I'll actually just bring it to you and you check it out. And I'll be honest, if anybody wants one of these, I sell them for $75, but I believe they're worth a lot more than that. So you can check it out real quick. You get a shirt, you get a pin, you get some stickers, you get some fun stuff. Most importantly in there, though, is 3 things. Well, 4 things, really. One's not in there, though. You get the Satoshi white paper, which I'm so surprised how many people still haven't read, even once, right? And so I strongly always say, if you're going to be in this space, if you're at a Bitcoin conference and you have not read the Satoshi white paper, you're wrong. That's no offense. But just read it. It's good stuff. Second thing in there is that 40-page book. I wrote that myself. Oh, to write a book. Never thought I'd do that because I'm not a writer. But really, I just took everything that I've learned over the past 5 years and condensed it into 3 chapters. Chapter 1, what is Bitcoin? How does it work? The background behind it, the blockchain, the mining, all the technical stuff. The non-sexy stuff for people that just want to make money, right? Chapter 2, the utility. How does it all work? Downloading a Bitcoin wallet, which one would you want? The differences between them. What is a public key? What is a private key? Like I said, we'll go over that in the slides. Sending Bitcoin from one wallet to another, and then sending that Bitcoin from another wallet to another wallet, and then sending that Bitcoin to another wallet to another wallet. This worked a lot better when Bitcoin didn't cost $40 to send, but now we're back to $2, so we can do that a lot easier now. That thing you have in your hand right now is a piece of crypto art. That is my favorite product in this entire space that has ever been created. That's made by a guy named Troy Fearnow in Austin, Texas. Yes, he's holding it up. And as you can see on the bottom left, it has a QR code. So that is actually a cold storage crypto wallet that is also a piece of fine limited art. If you look on the bottom right in silver, you'll see that it's probably 300 of 1,000. So it's kind of fun. As those sell out, they actually go up in price. So I have some of the originals from 4 years ago that I bought for about $60, and now they're worth about $500. They have small, medium, and larges. The larges, my goodness, we all know Dashcoin, right? You know the legacy of Dashcoin? It used to be Darkcoin. So there's a Darkcoin crypto art limited to 5. And I bought one for like $750 a couple years ago. Now you can go on eBay, and they're selling for like $6,000. So limited edition art that stores cryptocurrency. And if you actually want to, you can open it up and pull it out a little bit. On the back of the painting is a red sticker, and that's where the private key is. So yeah, there you go. See? So you pull that red sticker out, you get your private key, and this is where it becomes really fun, right? Because I've got about $20,000 worth of cryptocurrency on my walls. And I tell people, too, I'm like, yeah, there's about 20 grand in that painting right there. Now, see, this is the fun part, because that's where they're like, ooh, I'm going to steal that painting. But you know what the best part about it is? As long as you take that private key out, put it somewhere else, your house can catch on fire, your painting can burn, or somebody can steal it, or it can be just, I don't know, destroyed in some way. You still have your money, right? And you can pull it and sweep it, or that's what it's called when you pull Bitcoin off of a paper wallet, is sweeping, and you can sweep it off anytime. So personally, I'm one of those crazy people that actually puts my private keys in my backyard in a hole, in a moisture-proof safe, because I mine at my house, and there's always possibility of fire, and paper burns. So no, and the last thing in there, the most important thing, which isn't in there at all, is every single box that I sell gets an hour of one-on-one time with me. So I send you a box, it comes in the mail, you read the book, you get the stuff, you practice, practice, practice. If I did my job right, you're going to have a lot more questions than you began with, right? Because I'm going to train your brain to go, whoa, I had no idea there was all these things. And then at the end of the day, you give me a call, you set it up. It doesn't matter if you're local in San Antonio. We can Skype, we can Google Hangout, we can do anything. And you get to ask any and all questions. So we just do that one-on-one. So that's how my answer to you is, how can I teach more people doing what I know works, right? Because that one-on-one time, I know it works. So I just wanted to build something. And normally I charge $100 an hour for one-on-one time, and I thought that was too much. I'm going to start at 8:20 on the slide. I'm just... but no, so the interesting thing is, I used to charge $0 for 3 years. I did it for free. I was all over the internet. I was like, you want to learn about Bitcoin? I'll teach you. Just come on over to the house. I'll teach you anything you want to know. You know how many clients I got? 1 or 2 a month. I went to the Small Business Administration, and I said, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, this is really interesting information, and nobody seems to want it. She goes, Alex, nobody buys things that are free. You have to charge money. So I increased it to $25 an hour. And she was right. All of a sudden, I started getting about 1 client a week, right? I went back, and she goes, you're still charging too little. This information is very important. I started looking at everybody else's price points. People are charging 0.1 Bitcoin to teach you. It's insane. That's an insane amount of money. Yes, sir, you got a question. No. You know, look, I spend every day of my life trying to theoretically propose what could happen, like how this is all going to end. Will it be like Star Wars with Imperial credits? Will there be one coin to rule them all? Will the price go to $1 million? Will mining affect it one way or the other? Do we have the ability to, or that will we have the, what do you want to call it, consensus to even have the foresight to possibly switch from proof of work to proof of stake with Bitcoin, right? Because there's multiple parties. Some people are like, no, we got to keep proof of work. Other people are like, why not move to proof of stake? Save a lot of fucking energy. Again, sorry, I cuss. But yeah, I'm a pirate. But I don't know. I would say as far as McCaffrey goes, I love opinions like that because it just makes you think even more about other people's thoughts, because we all have our own unique, completely different thought on how this is going to go. And I think some of us are all a little bit right. But I wish I could say more. I am not a soothsayer, as much as I wish I was. But could it reach $1 million? I think so. I used to do these stupid math problems where I would look at like the entire total amount of real money, not bank money, not where you put like $100 in and then they loan it out 10 times, but real, true money. I believe last year we had about $980 trillion worldwide. I think they call it like the M2 something. Does that make sense? And if you were to just take Bitcoin's 21 million and divide that by the 980 trillion, you get about $675,000 a coin. But then you take into effect that there's not 21 million Bitcoins, there's less. We're not going to ever see that amount because we're going to die before they all come out. And even more so, as I was saying earlier, people lose Bitcoin all the time and it's gone forever, which means the actual amount of Bitcoin is not 21 million. It's probably going to end up being about 18 million, 17 million over time. So then you factor that into the price, and again, this M2 $980 trillion goes up continuously anyway. So $1 million a coin, possible. I'm looking at more like $500,000, $600,000 a coin within the next 20 years. That's my theory. Am I basing it on anything other at all? God, no. Just on the way that this market works, on the certain laws. One of my favorite laws of all is called Amara's Law, and it is a simple sentence that basically just states that human beings always overestimate what technology can do in 2 years and underestimate what it can do in 10. So we want, in 2 years, we're thinking we're going to have holographic phones and hope me, Obi-Wan, and you're my only hope. But in 10 years, we'll probably be past that. And that seems to be true if you really start to break down 10-year increments of time. It's fun stuff to look at. I think it's about time. Of course, I've done 3-hour speeches. At the end of the day, like I said, I had a 30-minute speech yesterday. It ended up being about 1 hour and 20 minutes. I love Q&A. Oh. This may be a little more comfortable for you if you want. No, I'm good. Yeah. Right. Fine. Cool. Kind of like it. I like it. Well, if you need anything, just let me know. I'll be back here. Just need the slides up. That's really. Oh, yeah. But no, so I think I have about 40 minutes for this. We end at 3. These slides that I wrote are a lot longer than 30 minutes, so I'm going to kind of sift through them. I don't like to go off slides. I kind of just like the free wheel. I like people stopping me and asking me questions in the middle of it. So if there's anything that you're like, whoa, raise your hand. I'll call on you. If this becomes a 40-minute of Q&A, that's okay too, because at the end of the day.
So the receiver's over there. So you just have to point it in that direction whenever you switch. Right as with your hands.
Awesome. All right, and go. All right, so like I said, just going over some Bitcoin basics. Everything that I think you guys should know to keep yourself safe in this ecosystem. So who am I? I'll go over this really quick, and over there you can see my information, and I should have put like Twitter handle and Telegram channel and all that other stuff, but at the end of the day, if you call me, I answer. I'm a very available person. But quick history, 7 years in the Army as a medic, got out, went to school full-time for business entrepreneurship. While I was in school, heard about Bitcoin. By the way, I talk really fast. Get used to it. So basically, this is kind of out of order, but I founded the San Antonio Crypto Network, as I said, which was just a consulter area, a place where people could come and propose questions, and I give them answers. I wanted to be community service because I felt that that's what this industry was missing the most. One person to guide and hold people's hands and walk them through this situation, right? So then I started a podcast called Be Libre. You can look it up. It's on SoundCloud. It's good stuff. Community manager at Bread, or Bread app. Bread, the wallet, so of course I'm going to plug that a little bit. I've been working for them for about 3 months, and it is by far the best job I've ever had. Great team. I couldn't be happier. And she knows. She sees me every day, and I'm just like, I fucking love my job. Because they allow me to do everything else, right? So at the same time, I'm the CEO of the Bitcoin Beginner Box, as I just showed you. So that's my own little thing. Just to let you know, that's a limited edition thing. I sell them 100 at a time because each person gets 1 hour of my time, and I can't be selling 10,000 boxes a year because that's 10,000 hours of one-on-one time. Can't handle that. So I sell them at 100 at a time. Speaker, like if you were in here at the beginning, this has been my entire goal, is to speak and be at conferences and teach people what they need to know. I'm a teacher, evangelist, but more than anything, I just want to be a teacher. So that's where all my goals lie. Everything I've ever built and everything I've ever done, and even everything I do for bread is in education. So this is the overview. We don't need to spend time on that. We don't have time. I want to talk about money for just a second. I know it's really boring, but it's important because it goes to show the difference between fiat money, like the dollar, the peso, the yuan, the yen. Fiat meaning any currency backed by the federal or government that you're in. So what makes good money? Aristotle wrote the 6 tenets of money long, long time ago, and now we just call them the 6 characteristics of money. So durability, the ability to withstand breaking. We can see this with the dollar bill when you shove it in a washing machine and it comes out just fine, right? Same thing with change. Change doesn't burn, change doesn't break. It's very, very durable. Portability, you can stick it in your pocket. You can hold $100, you can hold $1 million in a briefcase. And now that everything's wire transferred, it, for the most part, fiat still has that ability to just be stuck in your phones and your bank accounts, so that's good. Acceptability, that's probably the most important. It has to be accepted or else nobody would want it, and it's useless, right? Limited supply should really be in red. Normally I have it in red because the dollar doesn't have that anymore. We inflate our fiat currencies. So the annual inflation rate over the past 30 years has been 4.1%. So I always use the example of, I'm 33 years old. When I was in high school, about, 15 years ago, a 20-ounce soda was 75 cents. How much is a 20-ounce soda now? It's $1.89, $1.99. $2.10 at some gas stations. That's not because corn syrup went up in price, because we're still way growing corn. It's because of your dollar being able to buy less every year. That's how we see our dollar losing value. We don't see it any other way because all we use is the dollar, right? But you all know. You'll see it. Everything keeps going up. I tripped the hell out when I went to HEB this past year, and bacon went from $3 to $4. I lost my shit. That's inflation, right? So that we want a currency, or at least that's what got me so excited about cryptocurrency at first, was its limitedness. We'll go into that in a second. Divisibility, obviously, dollars break into cents. Bitcoin breaks into satoshis. I'm going to have a slide for all the divisibility just to let you know. And lastly, uniformity. Everything needs to look the same so that it can't be counterfeited, so that you can easily have access and know that $1 is $1 and a 5 is a 5 and a 10 is a 10, right? So going into Bitcoin a little bit, created by a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto, who nobody knows who it is. A lot of people think it's Hal Finney. Other people think it's this guy. There's been like 15 people that have claimed to be him. I don't think any of them are. I think the real person who built this will never be known because I feel like somebody would try and kill him because he's built a great invention, and the greatest inventors of our time usually get killed. So if I built Bitcoin, I wouldn't want anybody to know I built it either. So it kind of makes sense, right? But let's go into actually what it is. You can read this. Like I said, I don't like to go off the slides. The true magic of Bitcoin was simply the ability to send money from one place to another, any country to any country, any place to any place, in a small amount of time, usually 10 minutes or less, for, at the time, when it was built, a fraction of a penny. Now, it costs $2 right now, I think, to send most any amount. You can send $10, it's going to cost you $2. You can send $1,000, it's going to cost you $2. You can send $1 million. Might cost you $2 to $30. Just depends on the size, right? But that is the magic of Bitcoin, the ability to send money from point A to point B in a short amount of time without the need of a third party like a bank. So a good example of this is, let's look at a credit card. You go to Walmart, you swipe your credit card. It goes through a processor. That third party bank that is making sure that you have money and that money gets sent to point B or Walmart has to take a fee. They take that 2.3%. If you're using Apple Pay, they'll take 1.3%. Everybody's got a different percent, right? And it depends on the company you use and the payment processor and the POS. But at the end of the day, with Bitcoin, you don't have to deal with that anymore. You don't have, between the C and the B or the B and the B, you don't have to worry about that extra fee. So for instance, if Bitcoin was taken over completely and Walmart accepted Bitcoin and all of their customers used Bitcoin, Walmart makes, what was the last I checked, like $700 billion a year. Take away 2% of that. Was it? A little less? Let's just say, okay, let's just play an easy number. Let's say 100 million. which I know it's more than that. But what's 2% of 100 million? Money that you should have, and they don't get it because it goes to the banks. So with cryptocurrencies, you get more of the value. So as currencies around the world are losing power, Bitcoin is gaining global purchasing power. I know sometimes we have very volatile downward spikes where everybody freaks out. We go from 19,000 to 6,000 and everybody loses their mind. But at the end of the day, I really like to look at the scales. You look at a slide between 6 months or a year. I use an app called Blockfolio to check my information and see where my slides are. And even though this has been the bloodiest month that I've ever had, I'm still up for the month. I'm still up for 6 months. I'm still up for 3 months. I'm still up for the year. So when you look at it from a timetable, even though some days it looks like the sky is falling, if you really look at it from an outside timeline, we're still doing very, very good. Everybody knows it's extremely volatile. I want to say something about that. Any healthy market is volatile. When Bitcoin's price goes down, that doesn't necessarily mean that the sky, that things are going bad. That means that maybe you bought Bitcoin in 2009. And you bought a lot of Bitcoin in 2009, and now you have $2 billion worth of Bitcoin because there's a lot of money in Bitcoin, right? Maybe you want to go buy a private island, get your boat, retire, never talk to anybody again. So then $2 billion of the entire Bitcoin gets sold, and everybody goes, wow, that was a big hit, right? No, it was just one dude that had a good investment a couple years ago, taking his cash, walking away. Congratulations, sir. Right? But no, so Bitcoin falling is not always a bad thing. It's people getting in and people getting out. And for a teacher's perspective, when Bitcoin's price goes down so hard, so fast, I look at it as an opportunity for all those people that constantly say, Bitcoin's too much, I can't get into it. Well, now you can. There's an opportunity. Here's a low point where you can get back in. All right, so we were talking about money. I'll keep this slide short and sweet. Bitcoin is better money. I'll make this quick little joke. I went to my grandpa, who's been trading currencies most of his life, 3 years ago, and I said, Grandpa, I want to invest in Bitcoin. And he goes, don't do that. You're going to lose all your money. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. So I did it anyway. And 2 years later, turns out he calls me and he starts sending me checks in the mail to buy Ethereum for his daughter, my mom, without her knowing because he believes in it now. And I go, why did you tell me so much not to buy this? He goes, oh, no, it was quite simple, actually. It's perfect money. I've been studying money for 40 years, and Bitcoin is perfect. So I just figured the government would shut it down. So I didn't want you to, lose all your money and the government just come in because I know then you'd go rogue and you'd be all pissed off. What happened? All right, so just going over a couple things. It has all 6 traits. 21 million Bitcoins in total, as I said earlier. That's not the real number. It's going to be less than that. Decentralized, which means it's not owned by a government, a corporation, an entity, a person. It is an open source code, which is also upgradable, and we can go in and talk about that a little bit. It's durable, simple. It's all in your phone. Can't break it. Portable, divisible, fungible, immutable, which is actually kind of nice for businesses because chargebacks are a real thing and people do them all the time. You buy something on Amazon and then 2 months later you decide, I don't want this anymore. Send it back, the company loses the money, chargeback happens, company loses. Sucks for businesses. With Bitcoin, you send your money unless they want to refund you, that you can't get it back. So if I send Bitcoin to you and I'm like, dude, I need that Bitcoin back, please give it back. I didn't even mean to send it to you, it was an accident, and you say no, so that's good and bad. And secure. Most everybody's probably had at least one of their coder friends. I expect probably you at least have looked at Bitcoin's code once or twice and gone, okay, seems fair. Because people like me who are not a coder, we have to ask our friends and go, can you look at this code and make sure that it's not flawed? So after 9 years of extensive looking, I feel like it's safe at this point. So here's a quick little slide. Take a picture if you'd like. The main reason I show this is because a lot of beginners think that you have to buy 1 Bitcoin to get started, which couldn't be further from the truth. You can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy $20 worth of Bitcoin a week. You can buy any amount of Bitcoin you want. You do not have to buy a whole Bitcoin. There is no minimum or maximum investment with Bitcoin. It is completely up to you. If you ever, and this will go into scams. If you ever hear anybody say, it's just a minimum investment of this much Bitcoin, walk away from that person because that is a scam. That is most likely a scam. There is no minimum investment unless they're talking about a hedge fund, and that's a whole different case. But yeah, so you can just see, and it's funny, a lot of this may look weird because you may not have heard of it. Some countries, some wallets call 0.0000001 Bitcoin a Satoshi. Others call it a bit. So depending on where you are in the world, it can get a little confusing because some people are using different terminologies than others. But at the end of the day, the most you'll ever see is Bitcoin, BTC. Sometimes you'll actually call it, I don't know why, I hate that, XBT. That's been around for years. Some people call Bitcoin XBT. I have never heard megabit, but whatever. Another one is Mbit or millibit, which is 0.001 Bitcoin. Another easy one that you might see a lot is a microbit, which is 10 Satoshis, and then obviously a Satoshi. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Okay, why is it worth anything? Hopefully I have enough time to get to the blockchain, but the blockchain technology, which I'm sure you all have heard of many, many times, probably gone to a couple blockchain conferences. The blockchain is a distributed ledger that records all transactions. So every single time I send Bitcoin or any currency, unless it's something like Monero or Dash, where it's a completely anonymous currency, there is a transaction and it goes into the Bitcoin blockchain in a block and it has a hash. And anyone can look up this hash and look at that transaction and they can say, oh, on February 4th of 2013, this address sent money to this address and this address sent money to that address. We call it pseudo-anonymous because that address is not tied to your name unless you specifically do a lot of things to tie it to your name. So it's a ledger. Nobody knows who, but you can definitely see where all the money is. I always liked this idea because I always said, wouldn't it be great if the government, put themselves on the blockchain so we could see where our tax dollars really go? I'd love that. Where every single citizen could just type that hash in for the government and go, whoa, 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 that's not what you said you were going to spend that on. Where's my money really going? So that's one of the reasons I think this is going to change the world, definitely in the government area. So security, price growth, it's limited. Remittance fees. Being with the wallet, we just added a feature where you can buy Bitcoin with a credit card for 7.9%. And that sucks for everyone in America, to be honest, right? Because you can buy Bitcoin for 1%. On Bread, you can buy Bitcoin for 1%. You have Coinbase. Coinbase charges 1.5% to 3% for banks and 3.75%, I believe, for credit cards. So why would you care that we just added a new feature for 7.9%? It's because it's not for you. It's for the other 140 countries that we're in that have to pay 25 to 30% margins every time they want to buy Bitcoin. So there's a lot of countries that do not have the abilities that we have. We have it really easy. We have it super easy. And that's why I was saying I respect Coinbase very much. Because although they have some mistakes that they've made it really cheap for us to get Bitcoin, right? 1%, you'll go to a Bitcoin ATM and they'll charge you like 7.7%. But there's a lot of countries where the margins are so high. So that's 7.9%. And I run the Telegram channel for Bread. And I can't tell you, we released that feature about a week ago. And I have gotten just so many people from the other countries that really needed this. They're like, this is fucking amazing. Thank you so much. So remittance fees, being able to send and buy and sell money for cheaper. It's accepted everywhere. Credit and debit is. Don't believe me? Look up Shift Payments Card. Look up BitPay. You can get a Visa credit card that has a chip on it that will take directly from your Bitcoin wallet whenever you pay for your mortgage or pay for your car or go to Walmart. Yeah, I go to Walmart. I use Bitcoin. They don't even know because, yes, sir. Absolutely. I actually have a tax slide. It's my last one because I hate it the most. No, right now, simply this. It's capital gains. Bitcoin is considered an asset in America. So if you hold let's say you buy your Bitcoin for $100 and you hold it for less than a year, right? And it goes up to $500. You made $400, right? Because it's been less than a year, you're gonna have to pay 30% capital gains tax on that. So 30% of that $400 profit, you'd have to pay to the federal government at the end of the year. Now, if you have losses, if you buy Bitcoin at $100 and it goes down to 50 and you sell it, then you get to declare a loss. So that doesn't hurt you at all. Something of note, though, that was under a year, over a year. So let's say you buy Bitcoin for $100 and then a year passes, a year and a day, right? And it's $1,000 and then you sell it. So you made $900 profit, right? But because it's been over a year, it has, what's it called? Not short-term, but long-term capital gains costs. So it's a little bit less. And depending on your tax bracket, it could actually be anywhere from 0 to 10 to 15. I think 17% is the most. So for all of you, if you have the opportunity, you don't have to sell your Bitcoin under a year, I highly recommend that because it'll save you a lot of tax dollars to be paid. So I do have a slide on that, but does that help? And just to say, if you do use a Shift card and you do use your Bitcoin at Walmart, that actually is a capital gains tax as well. So so whatever you bought the Bitcoin at, whenever you spend the Bitcoin, same thing. You're getting tax capital gains. You need to report it. Oh, take your time. We're about to get to the good stuff. This was all the boring stuff. Yeah. Okay, wallets. Wallets are very important. Some people think that one wallet is better than another wallet. I tend to disagree. It depends on who you are and what you're doing. A hot wallet, keeping it real quick and simple, is a wallet that is connected to the internet. That's all that means. It can be a phone wallet. It can be a computer wallet. It is just a wallet connected to the internet. Some people think that hot wallets are not safe. That's not true. Just not true. No hot wallet, to my experience, has ever been hacked. But you have other companies like Trezor and Ledger, which I love, but they build something called a hardware wallet, right? Which is an extra piece that you would plug into a computer, and basically it's a mix between a hot and a cold wallet. I skipped cold wallet. I shouldn't have. A cold wallet is a wallet that is not connected to the internet, just to keep it simple and sweet, right? So that can be a crypto art, like you saw on the box, right? You still have, oh, here. So got an example right here of a cold wallet, not connected to the internet. I would say it's about the safest way to store your Bitcoin. The only way it can be lost is if you lose the private key, but this is a crypto art or a paper wallet, and you can scan the QR code right there and put Bitcoin onto it, right? And then on the back, you have your private key. You pull that off. You keep it safe. Cold storage wallets. You can also go to like Bitcoin wallet, cold wallet generator, and you can actually print off your own wallets for any currency you want. So I really like cold wallets, just personally. But hardware wallet is a mix of the two. A hardware wallet is cold until you connect it to the internet. Yes?
Is there any software that's open source that you can generate a cold wallet like on a device that's never connected to the internet?
In fact, yes. So the website I just said, I may be off, but just type in like a Bitcoin wallet, cold wallet generator, and there's an actual website. And on that website, they recommend that you disconnect from the internet when you're building your paper wallet. And that's supposed to help you stay safe, to make sure that there's no key logging or anything going on behind the end. So yeah, anytime that you do generate your own paper wallet and print it off with your printer, I highly recommend that you disconnect to the internet while you're doing it. And it works just fine not connected to the internet, because really you're just getting a public key, a private key on a piece of paper, printing it out, and then you'll literally have a piece of paper with a private key and a public key. So you can send money to it, and you can pull money off of it anytime you want. Yeah. Multi-sig wallets at the bottom there, that's not a different type of wallet. That is a feature that a lot of wallets have, and some wallets don't. It's simply this. If you own a business, let's say you and her and I own a business, right? And we trust each other enough, but we're talking about millions of dollars, right? And it's a business fund. We could create a multi-sig wallet where we could say, we need two. You would get a key, you would get a key, I would get a key. We all three have 3 keys, but we need 2 keys to access the funds. So that means that if she goes rogue and decides to steal from us and she puts in her 1 key, she can't get the money. She needs you on her side to steal the money from me, right? But then you can also do 3 of 3. So we'd need all 3 keys entered at the same time to get access to the funds. So multi-sig is a wonderful feature for families or businesses that, just want to trust but verify, if that makes sense. All right, a little bit more about hot wallets. Like I said, connected to the internet, comes on phones and computers, can give extra abilities. For instance, some integrate shapeshift, which you can see out there. Shapeshift lets you turn one coin into another coin. The ability to hold multiple currencies. The one thing that I'm going to harp on a lot and spend rest of my time is private keys. So I want to talk about these. Coinbase is great. It allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin basically any time. The only reason I don't like Coinbase is because they do not give you your private key. What this means is that you do not actually have access to your funds. If Coinbase goes down for maintenance, if Coinbase gets hacked, if Coinbase gets taken down, if there's some legal issue and they can't work anymore, anything happens to Coinbase, your money's gone. They own your money. They always own your money. You never, ever technically own your money if it is in Coinbase. And the one reason I respect Coinbase is because they blog about this. And they've said our wallet is not the best place to hold your Bitcoin. You might want to put it somewhere where you own the private key, which leads me to Bread and Exodus. I wanted to just bring up one, obviously, right? I work for them. But Bread is a phone-only wallet. It's on Android and Apple. It allows you to store your private key yourself. It gives you a 12-word phrase. So that is your private key. So, for instance, you put all your money on your Bread wallet on your phone, and then, you drop it in the toilet, right? All your money's gone. But the very first thing that Bread Wallet ever asks you to do when you first download it is write down 12 words. These words are random, and they are only your words and your words alone, and no one else has these words. So then you get your new phone the next day, you re-download the Bread Wallet, And it's going to say, would you like to start a new wallet? And you're going to say, no, because I just lost my wallet. I want to import my old wallet. And that's the second option. And that it gives you the ability to type in those 12 words that you wrote down on a piece of paper and did not take a photo or snapshot of, because your phone is very easy to hack and get access to your photos. Every single time you download an app or a phone game, I know you know this, what does it ask for? Can we have access to your photos? So never, ever, ever take a photo on your phone of your private key. Write it down on a piece of paper, put it in a safe place. Don't show it to anybody. That is the key to your safe. So you want a wallet that gives you that private key, because if you have the private key, you have 24/7 all the time access to your money. No one can freeze your account. You can send it anywhere you want. You're in full control. That's the difference between owning your private key and not owning your private key. And man, if I had time, I would go on a whole nother 20 minutes about these private keys. In fact, I might. I want to skip cold wallets. We talked about it. Yep, going to go over the private keys, because that's how important this stuff is. You can make $1 million in this space, but if you're not storing it properly, you're going to have a bad time. So just to go over it really quick, a lot of people get confused because they can come in different ways. You have a public key and a private key, which can look exactly the same. They can both be QR codes. They can both be strings of letters and numbers. But private keys have evolved over the past couple years. Now you have wallets that, instead of giving you an odd line of numbers as your private key or a QR code as your private key, they'll give you a 12, 16, 20, or 24-word phrase. For instance, as I said, bread gives you 12 words, and that's your private key. That's your backup. That's how you get access if you lose your wallet, right? Trezor, a hardware wallet, gives you 24 words, right? Exodus gives you, I believe, 16 words. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. And you may hear a private key called a seed. You may hear it be called a private key. You maybe hear, you see a QR code, a string of codes, the passphrase, 12-word phrase, 16-word phrase. It's all the same thing. Private key is a private key is a private key. It's just a lot of different ways that it is talked about depending on what service you're using. But at the end of the day, most important thing is your private key. Again, so always when it says write down this passphrase, do not write down that passphrase. Write it down. And again, as I said, never, ever, 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 ever share this. It is the key to accessing your Bitcoins in your wallet. Without it, you cannot access your money and will lose the ability to send and receive all of your money. I cannot tell you, it's almost on a daily basis that somebody contacts me and says, hey, Alex, I lost my private key. How do I get my funds? What do you think the answer is? They're fucking gone. And that's sad, but it's true. So that's why I'm being so harping on this. Make sure you keep your private key safe. In fact, write it down 3 places. Bury it in the backyard. Put it in a safety deposit box. If you trust somebody enough, give it to them too. You know what I mean? And one thing that I want to talk about that I probably shouldn't talk about is recently I had a friend die about 4 weeks ago, and he had a lot of cryptocurrency, and his phone was with him in the car accident, and he died, and his phone also died. And now his family is trying to find his cryptocurrency. So I say this to all of you. If you own cryptocurrency, create a scavenger hunt if you must for your family members. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. If you're 12, it's always possible to die. Something can happen, right? And you want to be able to leave your funds to your next of kin. So you have to trust somebody with some information. So always put your private keys somewhere. Maybe, like I said scavenger hunt for fun, right? But at the end of the day, you don't want to just say, here's all my money, but if I die, follow these steps, right? And I know it's a morbid thing to talk about, but it's happened, and it's important because he had a lot of cryptocurrency, and his family could really use that cryptocurrency, and I'm still trying to help him find that cryptocurrency. I'm thinking it was in his phone, and I'm thinking he might not have written down his private key, or we just haven't found it yet, right? So public keys, I want to differentiate. A public key, when you hear public key, that is the way to accept your money. So any single time you say, hey, send me Bitcoin, you're going to get somebody's public key. It's usually, again, a series of letters and numbers or a QR code. Most phone wallets have a QR code, so one phone can scan another phone's QR code and instantly send. I was talking about preventing accidents, right? So you cannot send Bitcoin to another coin or token address, or it could be lost forever. So you don't want to send Bitcoin to an Ethereum address. You don't want to send First Blood to a Litecoin address. You don't want to send Litecoin to a Bitcoin address. You cannot do that. Do not do that. A lot of wallets are starting to put in stop measures to where if you're trying to send Litecoin to a Bitcoin address and you hit send accidentally or don't know that you can't do that, it'll actually say, this is not a Bitcoin address, and it'll save you. But sometimes they don't, so it's up to the wallet. So just make sure you know you have to send Bitcoin to a Bitcoin address. You have to send Litecoin to a Litecoin address. Yes? Absolutely. Yeah. So Coinbase Bitcoin address to a Bread Bitcoin address to a Exodus Bitcoin address to back to Coin. Any Bitcoin address you can send your Bitcoin to. Yeah, absolutely. Bitcoin to Bitcoin to Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash came out a while ago. There was a lot of problems where people were thinking that you could send your Bitcoin Cash to your Bitcoin wallet. Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin are two completely different things. You got to send your Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin Cash wallet. Oh, now there is one thing in reverse. We talk about tokens, Ethereum, Neo, all these smart contract platforms. That has a different way of doing it. So if you are a token user and you buy into an ICO, or you have, let's just say, Bread token, which came out last month, and you need to send it somewhere, you do not send ERC20 tokens to ERC20 tokens addresses, because there is no such thing. You send all Ethereum or ERC20 tokens to the Ethereum address. So for instance, if I wanted to send my Bread tokens to my Ether wallet or MetaMask or Bread, I would send it to my Ethereum wallet. And there's about, I'd say, 200 different altcoins right now. 200 different ERC20 tokens right now. Every single one of them you send to an Ethereum address. And as soon as you send it to the Ethereum address, it populates in that Ethereum wallet. So that's kind of the differentiator, right? So Bitcoin goes to Bitcoin, Litecoin goes to Litecoin. In all instances, you want to send it to the same address. But when it comes to Ethereum, you want to send your tokens to your Ethereum address. And then it'll auto-load. I hope that makes sense. Ask me questions. Please ask me questions. You can interrupt. One last thing. I'm not a partner with him. I don't know him at all. But I do love it, because at the end of the day, a public key is just like a PayPal address. And why have this dumb-looking long thing when Netkey allows you to pay, I think it's like $1.99 a year, and then you can customize your public key. So for instance, if you wanted to send me money for my podcast donations, right, my Bitcoin public key is wallet.blibre.bit. It's not super sexy, but it's better than a lot of just numbers, and it's a lot easier to remember. And you can make any one you want. And I just really kind of enjoy that, because for a couple years, I was like, this has got to be easier. We can't keep using these strings of letters and numbers. It gets confusing. What if it, what's your name, sir? Bill Laurie, that could be Bill Laurie. That could be your public address. So just like with PayPal, right? So it's like, what's your PayPal address? Oh, BillLaurie@gmail.com. That could be your address. So with these new services that are coming out, it's making it a little bit easier and feasible. I want to talk about buying and selling, because there's a lot of ways to buy and sell. We've talked about it a little bit, but Coinbase allows you to buy Bitcoin with a credit card or a bank account. They charge 1.5% to 3% for the bank account. They charge 3.75% for the credit card. They allow you to sell back to your bank account and back to your credit card. At one time, they were integrated with PayPal, but I don't know what happened to that. That went away, may come back. Don't work for Coinbase, so I don't know. Bread, over the last 3 months, has introduced 2 buying features, no selling features. So you can't sell anything back to fiat and Bread yet, but you can buy Bitcoin for cheaper than Coinbase. It's 1% if you buy through Bread. So if you download Bread, you'll see that ability. 1%. That's about the cheapest I've ever found to buy Bitcoin. That's where I buy my Bitcoin now, and I bought Bitcoin from Coinbase for about 4 years. So it's just that extra little savings of money, right? Local Bitcoins is a person-to-person, peer-to-peer exchange where, let's say this guy has way too much Bitcoin and he wants to go on a vacation and he wants to just charge 10%. And there's some people that don't have bank accounts, so they can't use the services of Coinbase and Bread. An individual without a bank account can go into local Bitcoins. He'd have his phone number and how much he's willing to sell and what times he's available. And as a buyer, I would contact him, and we'd meet at an IHOP or at a coffee shop or wherever, and we would exchange our funds. Simply that. Is it dangerous? It's more dangerous than the other ones. Not saying that you're going to get stabbed or anything like that. I have heard a story or two about local Bitcoins, people getting stabbed. So just putting that out there. Go to a public place. And Paxful. God, I love Paxful. The way that Paxful was created, that's a 10-minute story. But Paxful did something different. They allowed people to go to a gas station, a Walmart, a Target, what have you, and buy gift cards. So you can go buy a Chili's gift card for $20 Chili's gift card, go to Paxful, upload the code, and then somebody on the other side will pay you $15, $16, $14 worth of Bitcoin for your $20 Chili's card. Not great margins, but again, that's more for people that don't have access to bank accounts, that don't have access to a lot of things, or just to have extra gift cards from Christmas and you just want Bitcoin, right? So just change it out. But they do a lot more. They also allow you to buy gold and silver. Sometimes they have some crazy deals where people will actually, you can buy like 30% more silver than you would be able to with cash if you pay for Bitcoin. So I've seen some crazy deals on Paxful. Yeah. Absolutely.
1 year you have to sell it, and is there fees to save it on your hard wallet and then load it back?
No fees to save it on your hardware wallet. The only fees you're ever going to incur are when you're sending. So if you, let's say, bought $100 on Coinbase and you wanted to send it to your hardware wallet, it might cost you $2, right? So now you have $98 worth of Bitcoin that day on your hardware wallet, depending on whether it goes up or down. A year passes, now you want to sell it. So you can easily send it from your hardware wallet right back to Coinbase and sell it right back to your bank account. Oh, sure. No, she just asked, can I buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, put it into my hardware wallet, and send it back a year later and sell it? But good call, because sorry. Thank you for saying that. I will do that. Yes. Are altcoins available for purchase on Bread? No. In fact, Coinbase is actually the place that you would go to buy Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. That's what they offer right now. You can only buy Bitcoin right now on Bread. When you want to get into altcoins, you're going to start looking at exchanges. So you're going to look at, my favorites are Bittrex and Binance. You can write those down if you haven't heard of them. But that allows you to put your Bitcoin or Ethereum in these exchanges and then turn it into any cryptocurrency that exchange holds. Bittrex holds about 300 different altcoins. Binance holds a lot of different altcoins. There's also Poloniex, and there's a lot of other ones. But at the end of the day, if you wanted to, write this down if you don't know this website, because this is like the granddaddy of websites, coinmarketcap.com. You can see every single coin that's available, where to buy it, what its market value is, how much it is. It's all real time. So if you hear about a coin that you fall in love with and you're like, where do I buy this? Go to CoinMarketCap, look it up, and it'll show you all the different places you can buy it. CoinMarketCap. I know I'm probably running out of time. Can keep going? Cool. Yeah, go for it.
We have these consumer reports that gives independent opinion on products and services and all. Is there some website like that for knowing more about coins or the cryptocurrency?
Yes, lots. The only problem with them is trust. And you have to trust. For instance, there's lots of great YouTube personalities that have built lots of people's trust, that have millions of subscribers because they've done a really good job at, taking the time to research and do, here, hold on, let me go right here. So here's some altcoins. This is not investment advice. This is just some of my favorite coins because I like them. And so I wanted to show some of my coins. But to your question, could you repeat your question again?
I just wanted some independent website.
Oh, right. Okay, so for instance, there's a guy named DataDash, right, on YouTube, and I like to watch him every day because he goes into a couple new coins and he talks about them, and he'll do AMAs with the CEOs, and he'll give you his breakdown of whether it's a good buy. Then if you use Telegram, there's so many Telegram channels that are like ICO reports, and they come out with reports every single day. And then there's other websites, and I wish I could tell you off the top of my head what they are, but there are. Look up like ICO reports, and you'll see coins that actually have values between like 0 and 5, where depending on the the team and the utility and where they're at and all the things that they've done, they may have a 2 out of 5. You don't want to invest in that, right? But it might have a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5. And that, of course, but then I always say trust but verify. So don't just go off of one person's opinion. Go look at somebody else's. Go check out another YouTube page. Coinmastery.com or Coinmastery on YouTube is another one that I really, really like. He's been really good at explaining and choosing coins that you may want to take a look at. DataDash. It's DataDash. And you'll be surprised. These guys are young. You're going to go like, holy crap, is this kid 18? But they know their stuff. And trust but verify. Payment processors. I'll take a second for this. If you own a business, it's easy to accept Bitcoin. You can literally download a wallet on your phone, print out that QR code, that public key, tape it onto your coffee shop and say, I accept Bitcoin. Then anybody can come in, scan that QR code that's taped on your counter, and you can accept Bitcoin all day. But if you're a bigger company and you need lots and lots of transactions, I highly recommend BitPay or Coinbase. They have different ways of doing things. As you can say, BitPay is the world's largest Bitcoin payment processor, blah, blah, blah. That's what they say. But they're used by Microsoft and Newegg, and they have deals where you can accept up to 30 transactions or $1,000 worth of Bitcoin payments per month for free. Larger merchants pay just 1%. So it's just good to know that if you do have a business and you want to accept Bitcoin, there are options for you, and good options too. Coinbase allows you to accept Bitcoin up to $1 million before you have to pay a fee at all. So, if you're a small business doing $50,000 a year, you're going to have a good runway before you ever have to pay a dime, right? Altcoins. So I want to do a lot of Q&A, if that's okay. I like answering people's questions. But this is kind of how I see the future. We already have self-driving cars, I think, with smart contract technology. And if we get the gas stations and the car companies to work together, we can easily have cars that you just drive up to the gas station and it pays for its frickin' self. Oh, this keeps going away. Smart houses that can buy things. We actually started having that with that Amazon push button. So the moment you run out of your Tide tabs, you hit the button and it comes to you in the same day. You can do that with cryptocurrency. World currency, like I said earlier, Star Wars, imperial credits. Why do we not just have one global currency? To me, the most important thing about this entire endeavor is that we live, if you're here in America, this is Atlantis. I always get yelled at for saying this, but this is Atlantis right now. We have the ability to do anything we want. We are gods. We can hurt or we can harm. But there's a lot of places that do not have that ability. They are born somewhere, and they are stuck where they are, and they have no chance in hell because of where they're born. And I think a global currency will equalize, not take away from what we have here in America, but bring up the other sides of the world that do not have the same accessibility and abilities as us. I share a story. I met a kid in Africa when Africa got Facebook about 4 years ago. He made these little bracelets, and he sold them for about 30 cents US, or I forget how much it was in his local currency. But Facebook went to Africa, and all of a sudden, you got all these people connecting, like, what's Bitcoin? What's Bitcoin? So I spent about 2 weeks teaching him Bitcoin. We set him up a Wix account, and basically, I told him to pick 6 colors and write and thread Bitcoiner into these bracelets. And within 5 months, he made over $50,000 worth of Bitcoin through Wix, selling these bracelets for $5 a piece worth of Bitcoin. He now lives in Canada, and he works for a cryptocurrency company. So myself, again, right, not being egotistical, but with this power that we have, we can empower other people that do not have that power and change their lives, and this currency can possibly, equalize. And if you're an elitist and you just want America to be the best all the time and everybody else to suffer, well, then I just disagree with you, and that's your opinion. But that's why I think this is important. That's why this means so much to me. That's why I want everybody to know about it, so that you can be empowered to help other people too. And teach other people. Taxes. We talked about it. Take a picture of it. I am a big supporter and hoper that the U.S. government eventually stops looking at it as an asset and as a true fiat tender. Over 2017, believe it or not, Australia and Japan actually made it a real tender, so it's a real currency, so they do not have to worry about assets. Now, of course, they have different capital gains taxes than America, but that is a good example of progress, right? So we've got 2 great countries, Japan and Australia. They're not small ones. they're not unknown, and their governments seem to be doing the right thing. So we have a lot of great companies in this space, like Coin Center, which has been on a mission for the past 4 years to send good regulation. They go do the things that none of us want to do, which is go deal with the government, and they share the stories, and they try and put bad people in jail for doing scams, and they try and get good regulation to make sure possibly we can not pay capital gains tax for our earnings. Because what did they do to help us earn these capital gains? Didn't do anything. In fact, it feels like the government's trying to stop us from using this money. Why am I paying you for my earnings? Sorry, I'm a little bit bitter on taxes. 5 minutes. Let's do some Q&A.
Yeah, how is making it like a currency instead of a asset going to avoid taxes? I mean, it's going to be more prone to taxes then, right?
No. So simply it would just change from capital gains tax where you're paying 30% for your earnings. Instead, it would just be sales tax. So if I have $100 worth of Bitcoin and I bought it for $1 and I spend $100 worth of Bitcoin, I pay sales tax. No capital gains tax. So instead of paying 30% a year on your earnings, you're not paying anything on your earnings because there's no more earnings. They don't look at it like a stock anymore. Yes, ma'am. Of course. Yes. You had a question too?
Yeah. What are different types of blockchains supporting cryptocurrency?
What are the different types of blockchains for cryptocurrencies? Good question. So Bitcoin has its own blockchain. You have all coins have their own blockchain. That's a very interesting question. I want to answer your question with a question. Do you know what the difference between a coin and a token is? Okay, so a coin has its own blockchain. A token runs on a blockchain. How many blockchains are there? Have no idea. There's a lot of them, and there's more every day. Of course, the most well-known, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. Then you have what I was talking about earlier, ERC20 tokens, which are built on Ethereum, which run on that smart contract. But then you also have, here we go, Ethereum Classic, Waves, Stratus, which is out there, Expanse, Neo, EOS. These are all smart contract platforms that are all competing against each other. I invested in all of them because I'm a big believer of, well, there's more than one, party. You may like to use Linux. He likes Windows. He likes Apple. There's room for everything. Yes, sir.
Besides the two-way Bitcoin ATM machine and maybe local Bitcoin, how can I purchase and sell my Bitcoin and maintain my identity?
Sell to a friend. No, seriously. The best thing to do, and I hope I'm not saying anything illegal when I say this, but am I giving you illegal advice? No. At the end of the day, if you download a wallet that is completely anonymous, and most of them are, like for instance, Bread takes no information from you whatsoever. You download it, you don't give it anything. You can put your Bitcoin into it, right? And then, like, let's say you find an individual, even local Coinbase, you'll find people on there that don't want to be, seen either. So as long as it's a cash transaction, you send that Bitcoin's not connected to you because you didn't. For instance, Coinbase has a tracking system as of about 2 years ago. It's very interesting because the creators of my Mycelium wallet, one of the creators of Mycelium wallet got hired by Coinbase to build this technology that basically tracks where your coins from Coinbase go. So if you buy Bitcoin on Coinbase and then send it to a Bread wallet, it knows you sent it to that Bread wallet. And then if you sell that to another gentleman, to another wallet, and then that gentleman then goes to the dark web and buys drugs with it, your Coinbase account might get shut down because they are actively looking for that kind of stuff. So to be completely anonymous, I would start looking into anonymous coins, right? Like maybe Zcash, Dash, Monero. Those are a lot more crypto-centric to where you can get away without anybody knowing any identity. And at the same time, I'm going to go back to the first place and just say sell to cash. Buy Bitcoin with cash and then sell it for cash 2 years later when it goes up, 10x. But at the end of the day, don't connect a credit card to yourself or you're going to have a bad time. It's true. It's true. Yes, sir. How is Bread funded? Bread. Yes, sir. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So Bread is completely anonymous until you link your bank account to it and buy Bitcoin through it. Yes. Same thing with credit card. Come on. I love questions. Yes, sir.
If I were to lose my phone where I have my two-factor authenticator,
So which two-factor are you talking about? Is it Authy? Is it Google Authenticator? Is it Google Authenticator? Say again? He's asking about what happens if he loses his phone and he has two-factor authentication on it linked to one of his wallets. How can he get access to it? It's a process, and it's not a hard process. It's just a long process. You actually go to you'll go to Google Authy or Google Authenticator or Authy, and they will help you basically. It takes about 3 to 5 days. You have to verify your identity, and then you'll get a new code, and it'll reopen. We out of time?
finish this question and one more, and then we're
All right, cool. And I'll be outside if you guys have more questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this may or may not have been asked before. The Litecoin fork, gotta have it in a certain type of wallet. How do I achieve that? Right now it's on the exchange.
So which exchange?
Coinbase.
Okay, so he's talking about the Litecoin fork, which is new to me. Funny enough, I haven't been looking at the news. So Litecoin's forking, is it? Hard fork? Okay, so any fork. It doesn't matter if it's a Bitcoin fork, a Litecoin fork, an Ethereum fork. You need to literally research where your money is. For instance, Trezor is phenomenal at splitting your coins. When they did Bitcoin Cash, it split really fast. When they did Bitcoin Gold, they split really fast. Ethereum went and forked to Ethereum Classic about 2.5 years ago. If it was on Bittrex, it did the fork for you. So some exchanges don't do it. Other exchanges do it. Some wallets do it. Some wallets do it really slow. Some wallets don't do it at all. the best thing I can say is whatever wallet you're using, for instance, like let's just say you're using Bread, right? You come on to Bread. We have customer service 24/7. So you could literally say, hey, this fork's about to happen. Can I store my coins here safely? Will I get the fork money? And they'll answer you. Any coin will. Any wallet will. But each wallet is different, and it's going to be up to the wallet themselves whether or not they're going to split it and whether or not they're going to do it in a timely manner. Some won't. Simply that. So you need to make sure that it's on a wallet that does support the fork. I know we're out of time, but yes, ma'am. Sorry, brother. Is that blockchain.info? Okay. I'm going to talk to you outside because
He's $100 an hour to answer that question. Now, Alex Eaton, everybody, fantastic, great stuff. Okay, we're on a 7-minute break. We're back here at 3:10 with Jeremy Kogan from Blockchain WTF.